This video is about the development of genetics, from the earliest observations in antiquity to modern technologies like CRISPR. I explain how the understanding of inheritance has changed throughout history, and which groundbreaking discoveries make genetics one of the most important sciences today. Thousands of years ago, farmers noticed that plants and animals pass on traits. They bred better crops or stronger animals. These observations were practical but not scientific. There was no understanding of genes. Genetics was still far away. In the Middle Ages, monks and farmers selectively bred plants and livestock. They chose the best specimens to increase yields. For example, stronger horses were bred. This was an early form of genetics. However, scientific explanations were missing. In 1809, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck proposed that acquired traits are inherited. He thought giraffes developed longer necks by stretching. His idea was wrong, but a first attempt to explain inheritance. It inspired later researchers. Genetics began to take shape. In the 1860s, Gregor Mendel experimented with pea plants. He discovered that traits like color are inherited according to rules. His Mendelian laws describe dominant and recessive genes. His work was groundbreaking, but recognized only later. In 1900, Mendel's work was rediscovered by scientists like Hugo de Vries. They confirmed his laws through their own experiments. Genetics began as a science. Inheritance was finally understood. Mendel's ideas became the foundation. In the early 20th century, scientists like Thomas Hunt Morgan found that genes are located on chromosomes. He experimented with fruit flies and showed how genes are linked. Chromosomes were recognized as carriers of hereditary information. Genetics became more precise. Research grew rapidly. In 1910, Morgan observed mutations in fruit flies like white eyes. He showed that genes can change spontaneously. Mutations explain evolution and diseases. This discovery was a milestone. Genetics now explain diversity. In 1944, Oswald Avery and colleagues proved that DNA carries hereditary information. Before that, many thought proteins were responsible. Their experiments with bacteria were decisive. DNA became the center of genetics. Research focused on it. In 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick discovered the double helix structure of DNA. Rosalind Franklin's X-ray images were crucial for this. The structure explained how genes are copied. It was a breakthrough. Genetics became molecular. In the 1960s, researchers like Marshall Nirenberg cracked the genetic code. They found out how DNA is translated into proteins. 3 DNA bases code for 1 amino acid. This discovery was central. It linked genetics and biochemistry. In 1973, Stanley Cohen and Herbert Boyer developed the first genetic engineering. They cut genes from bacteria and inserted them into others. This created recombinant DNA. Genetic engineering transformed medicine and agriculture. It was a huge step forward. In the 1980s, scientists began mapping genes. They found where genes are located on chromosomes. Fruit flies and worms were model organisms. Gene maps helped understand diseases. Genetics became more detailed. In 1983, Kary Mullis invented the PCR technique. It quickly and precisely multiplies DNA. PCR made gene analysis easier and cheaper. It is used in research and forensics. Genetics became more accessible. In 1990, the Human Genome Project started. By 2003, it mapped all human genes. The data show how genes influence diseases. It was a milestone in genetics. Research still uses this data today. In the 1990s, researchers sequenced genomes of bacteria and animals. The roundworm C. elegans was the first multicellular organism sequenced in 1998. These data helped understand evolution. Genetics became comparative. Biodiversity became clearer. In 1996, scientists cloned the sheep dolly. It was the first mammal cloned from an adult cell. Cloning showed what genetics can do. It led to ethical debates. Genetics influenced society. In the 2000s, gene manipulation became more precise. Researchers switched genes on or off to test their function. Mice were popular models. This technique helped study diseases. Genetics became more experimental. In 2012, Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier developed CRISPR-Cas9. This technique cuts DNA precisely to edit genes. It is simple and cheap. CRISPR revolutionized gene editing. It is used in medicine and agriculture. In the 21st century, epigenetics grew. It studies how the environment affects genes without changing DNA. Chemical markers control which genes are active. Epigenetics explains diseases and behavior. It expands genetics. Since the 2000s, medicine uses genetics. Genetic tests find risks for diseases like cancer. Therapies are tailored to genes. Personalized medicine is growing. Genetics improves health. Genetics changed agriculture. Genetically modified plants like corn are more resilient. They increase yields but are controversial. Genetics helps fight hunger. Sustainability is a goal. Genetics explains how species form. DNA comparisons show how humans and apes are related. Fossil DNA gives insights into ancient species. Genetics supports Darwin's theory. Evolution becomes clearer. Today, databases store millions of DNA samples. They help research diseases and ancestry. Companies like 23andMe offer genetic tests. Databases are powerful but controversial. Data privacy is a concern. Genetics raises ethical questions. Should babies be genetically modified? Gene editing could prevent diseases but also bring risks. Society discusses rules. Genetics requires responsibility. Since the 1980s, DNA helps in forensics. DNA traces identify criminals or victims. Techniques like DNA fingerprinting are precise. Genetics solves crimes. It is a tool of justice. In the 21st century, researchers build artificial genes. Synthetic biology creates new organisms for medicine or energy. In 2010, the first artificial bacterial DNA was made. The technology is exciting. It changes genetics. Genetics helps breed plants that survive drought. Researchers alter genes to secure yields. Animals become more resistant to diseases. Genetics fights climate impacts. It is forward-looking. Genetics is taught in schools. Students learn about DNA, inheritance, and evolution. Experiments like DNA extraction fascinate them. Genetics inspires young scientists. It explains life. Artificial intelligence helps analyze genes. AI finds patterns in large DNA databases. It predicts disease risks. Genetics is becoming digital. AI accelerates research. Genetics shapes medicine, agriculture, and research. It cures diseases and explains evolution. Technologies like CRISPR are powerful. Ethics and responsibility are central. Genetics remains a key science.